You know what they need to do? They need in Path of Exile to release a system in which I can sit here and watch ads over and over again to farm currency so I don't have to play the game. Like if I watch like a 10-minute ad, I get like a Divine Orb. If I watch like a 15-minute ad, I get like a Mirror Shard.
So you talked about your fellow mobile game creators earlier
Yeah.
and how they made their own games. So is anyone of them actually like earning well with that? Is successful? I don't know. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, multiple of them have raised millions of dollars in development fees, but like you have to understand it takes them fucking forever. So they've been developing the games for years. And like, I mean, they look interesting enough, I suppose, for like a mobile game, you know, they look all right. But you know, it takes millions and millions of dollars and years of time. So none of them have been actually released yet.
Even for all these like copy-paste mobile games? I did not expect that.
Yeah, I don't know if I necessarily copy paste. I mean, you still have to like have a lot of the problems people run into is like acquiring an IP. So like maybe you want to use like Marvel or something. Like you have to go and like be able to lease the IP, etc. And a lot of them get stuck there. So I have multiple friends that have made games that like they get stuck in the I can't get an IP phase. Like Warhammer won't sell their IP or whatever it may be.
Okay, I guess it's like important because it's like, oh my god, the Spider-Man mobile game or something, right? So
Yeah,
you need like something big like a hook.
Yeah, I mean, look, if they had a Diablo mobile game, I mean, you know, let's ignore the obvious one here. Let's say they had a Diablo Gacha mobile game, and you could, like, pull for one of the Prime Evos, and it's like, oh, maybe you'll get ball, maybe we'll get it. Like, everyone's going to want fucking Diablo, right? So, you know, if you don't have an IP to make people interested in it, like, why are they going to spend money to buy
I agree,
some...
actually, because if you don't already have, like, some sort of, like, background, like, I don't know, attachment and knowledge, like, yeah, then it's just like a random game with like random terms, random names, like nothing means anything, right? And yeah, I see that actually.
You have to like actually want the character you're pulling for. That's why like in Genshin Impact, like I didn't really well until Shield came out, and he was like actually super cool. Him and Diluc. So like all of the money I spent in Genshin was trying to get two of the characters I actually wanted. And the like I can give a fuck about, you know, anime titty girl number 7. Like I wanted to pull these two characters. So like that's you know, you have to have that, and you have a pool diluted with a bunch of garbage that no one cares about. And then that's basically like, you know, where all the money's going to come from. So like everyone gets bogged down in the IP phase when it comes to developing a game. That's a mobile gacha game anyway.
Yeah, okay, but Genshin is like its own thing, no? Or did it come from anywhere?
Genshin's its own thing. It does not necessarily. I'm using it as an example of like I liked some of the characters and the rest of them I didn't care about. So like when I was doing,
yeah, but I mean they were like all newly created for that game, no?
They were. But you know, it also to my point, like I don't really care about any of these other anime games because they're kind of like all looking very, very similar. Like I never really got into the anime ones because none of the characters were appealing. Like you don't have to have an IP that is, you know, 100% with an established IP. You can do new stuff, but you at least have to have characters that people are somewhat interested in. But new IP will 100% make it, you know, immediately successful, as opposed to like I have to come up with my own IP and make the characters look interesting. And if you make them look kind of dumb, like no one cares. I mean, that's why Concord had a problem, right? No one cared about the yellow vacuum cleaner guy or whatever.
Yeah, I get that.
Speaking of IPs, I just hope we get a Star Wars game sometime soon. We haven't had a Star Wars game in like fucking forever.
I mean, there's like a Star Wars Battlefront stuff and so on. Are you talking about mobile?
No, I like actual Star Wars game. Like we had Star Wars Galaxies is still a heartbreak for me and was I think my favorite game I've ever played. Like I think I even liked it more than RuneScape.
I mean, there was like you know the old Star Wars, the Old Republic. Knights of the Old Republic, I mean.
Well, Knights of the Old Republic is go there. Yeah, Knights of the Republic is like 10 out of 10.
Yeah, that was fucking sick.
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic game. Arguably, the second one's even better. And then, like, the unreleased content version is, like, even better. But the Star Wars, the Old Republic MMO is all right. I'm not going to say it's bad because it's not, but it's mostly good for story. But Star Wars Galaxies, holy shit, dude. Now, that was a fucking game.
Is that, what type is that? Is that MMO or what?
Yeah, old school MMO that got killed off by WoW, basically. and they had like 60 plus classes. Like, okay, I'll give you you interested enough to hear a quick sales pitch on why you would actually be interested in the game back in the day?
Yeah.
Okay, so imagine Star Wars. I don't know how much you're into Star Wars, but Star Wars with areas that you would actually care about. I'm talking Tatooine, Naboo, you know, like, or not Naboo, but Corellian, like actual Star Wars locations. And then you would have 60 different classes. So you could be everything from like basically a taekwondo dude to like a master creature handler where you could have a pet rancor. You could be a bioengineer, so you could actually breathe and make your own pets or make medicine if you want to be a doctor. You could be a musician, so you would actually be the guy in the cantina playing the music, so that the music in the game was actually live music from like another player. And if you go to the cantina and listen to the music, you get a buff. So that way you can go out in combat with like a buff from having it. You could be a dancer who dances in sync to the music the musicians are playing, and if you watch the dancers, you get a different type of buff. So you would have like bands that would come together that would go out and like play music in sync. Yes, exactly. You have toy league dancers there and shit. You would get buffs from that. You get buffs from actual doctors. You could be somebody who was just like an architect, you know, just like created shit for sale. You could be like a guy who was like an armor smith, and then when you actually made armor, it would tag like who's the person who made this armor. For instance, you could see where it would come from. You could own player-owned housing and put it basically anywhere, so you would have effectively pop-up cities that are owned by players, and you could put shops inside your own buildings, so you could go into somebody's house, and they'd have like a robot there, like hosting a shop, and you could see what the person is selling. You could decorate your own shit. You'd have multiple different planets, so you could actually like fly from planet to planet and check it out. There was bounty hunter profession. So if you really didn't like someone, he was a piece of shit, you could put a bounty on his head, and the bounty hunter's entire class was finding and hunting down bounties that players have put in other people's heads. And then if you were really, really lucky, you would sometimes hear the whisper of the Force, because you happen to get the 7 exact masteries that your character need, which is hidden, that you have to just randomly discover and find out your character's Force sensitive. And then you could become a Jedi if you find the guy that will train you. And it took like, I want to say, I could be wrong about this, I'm sure somebody in chat would be able to correct me, but I think it took 2 years or something until like someone found the first Jedi, and then some guy was running around with a lightsaber and never thought it was a hoax or a dev or something, and then they realized you actually can be a Jedi in the game, and the Jedi were so fucking OP that they would just melt literally in cities, like you could destroy everyone. You could join the Empire, you could join the Republic. So you could like pick one. You could actually be a stormtrooper and walk around in stormtrooper outfits and shit. And if you see someone who's from the Republic, you could just sit there and blast their ass like it's Horde versus Alliance. Like the game was, I say was sadly, maybe the best MMO that was ever created in my opinion. It was absolutely fucking phenomenal. In a way that I've never
actually insane, man.
It was very, very, very good. In a way that I've never seen another game even come close to. I liked it more than even RuneScape. Like it was complete peak.
When did that come out?
Early 2000s. So let's see, Star Wars Galaxies release date here. 2003. I thought it was 02, so I was off a bit, but it's 03. It's fucking phenomenal. And then you know the real sad part, Woody? You know the real sad part about that game? Is what happened to it. Because then WoW, here comes WoW, right? And everyone wanted to be WoW because WoW was winning. And you would have players that were leaving basically every MMO and go to play WoW because everyone was talking about it and all their friends were playing it and it was the new thing and it was great. I mean, don't get me wrong, WoW's great, okay? So WoW was winning. And what happened is all of these small little MMOs that had their own thing going was bleeding out to the big MMO, and they were losing their communities. And so instead of MMOs being a thing of which we're going to design our own style of world and having a world that people lived in, MMOs now had to compete with WoW. So what they did was they all became, RuneScape included in Galaxies, all became shitty versions of WoW and went to tab targeting. So they did something to Star Wars Galaxies called the new combat upgrade or new game experience. And effectively what it was now you have 7 classes down from 60 plus. You just click a pre-programmed class, you have a skill tree, tab targeting, and you just have like a certain amount of buttons. Anyone can be a Jedi at start, so of course 99% of people everyone just pick Jedi. And you could do first person combat and just walk around with a gun. It was complete dog shit immediately. So instead of like doubling down with the niche community that would have loved the game for what it was, for the IP and for the difference that the game had to offer, it became a shitty version of the game that was already killing them. So you had to ask yourself, do I want to play a bad version of the big game that I've heard all my friends are playing in order to stay in this game that I once loved, or do I just want to go play the game they're imitating? And so all the small MMOs did that same mistake, and then WoW got basically fed like that fucking game where you're the big worm eating the smaller worms. Like, just got fed in by becoming shitty version of WoW because they couldn't beat them and ended up just siphoning off even more of their populace to the game. And that's what killed Galaxies.
That's actually a very interesting analysis, I gotta say. But I can definitely see how, you know, all that happened, yeah. I don't really know much about other MMOs at that time, because, you know, I was not really playing MMOs before WoW, to be honest. I never really checked out any of them or something. I know there was like stuff like EverQuest that, you know, was before that and so on.
See, WoW, or not WoW, but MMOs that was the thing I loved. I played basically every MMO. I played Aeon, I played MU, Cow Online, Calbo Online, you know, obviously fucking WoW, RuneScape, like Maple Story, Puzzle Pirates. I mean, like, yeah, I played kind of all of them because I loved visiting the new worlds. And then after WoW, I basically stopped playing MMOs because every version of an MMO after WoW was just, how can we be WoW but worse? And so it really was heartbreaking for me because MMOs went from like a unique world to just a genre that's been established. So in the way I love WoW, in a way, and I hate WoW, because like WoW is phenomenal, but I feel like WoW, the existence of WoW, actually killed off all creativity in the MMO genre.
I mean, it seems like these days there's a lot of stuff going on though with new MMOs and so on. But yeah, the problem is always like MMOs are so based on numbers, right? It's like there needs to be like some sort of critical mass of players that need to reach, and you know, there's like this kind of like, you know, network effect, right? Where, okay, suddenly this game pops off and then everyone starts playing it, and suddenly the game is successful. And you know, this is like much more than in other games, right? Where there's like, if one person is playing, there's like a higher chance that someone else is also playing it.
True. That's very true.
And this doesn't happen in other games necessarily, that much at least.
It's very true. And in a way, like, the less niche MMOs became and the more popular genre it became, the worse the problem became, because the worlds need to feel populated and sparse, you know, and it needs to, you need to have the world actually feel alive, right? And so because of that,
yeah, exactly,
the more populated it is and the more people talk about it, the more it feels like a virtual world. But that in and of itself has a problem when it became a big genre and everyone started joining it. It has a snowball effect if everyone wants to be in the most popular and the biggest one. But when MMOs were more of a niche thing and it wasn't like the big genre, it wasn't what everyone was playing, all of the worlds could thrive because they had their own habitat that you had to like go out and find and become a part of that world. But once it became mainstream, then they all got muddled and now people just don't, no one wants to take a risk in making a small niche MMO that could survive off a certain populace because they all snowball into whatever the biggest, newest one is. And I don't know. MMOs are the biggest heartbreak for me, honestly, out of all gaming. One second, I'm getting a phone call from DoorDash. All right, so here's the news. You ready for this? DoorDash has my order, but Wendy's has never heard of it. So the guy's there, and they don't have my order. So he's like, you have to cancel your order.
Oh, God. Is this man ever gonna get fed, guys? Poor guy. I guess there's not much competition for food delivery somewhere where you live in Alaska.
I have to reorder it.
This is what he gets for getting Wendy's multiple days in a row. Is that true?
Wendy's was 2 days ago. This guy is completely wrong. Oh, and of course, the DoorDash is like, no, they're processing the order, so like you don't get a refund. So they want me to cancel it, still pay for the order, and then pay for it the second time to get it.
What the hell?
Yeah, classic.
When are we gonna get quadrocopters delivering our burgers to us? Like instead
Yeah,
of
where the hell is my drone Wendy's, bro? I don't need some dude.
Yeah, exactly. Like I can't believe that this is not already a thing.
Sounds like a scam from the delivery driver. I doubt it.
I know. I never really have much issues with like delivery guys here. So is it like a common thing over in US?
Yeah, pretty common. I have issues all the time.
Oof. Yeah, for me it's generally working fine. I mean, we actually order relatively often.
Oh, I got a fucking robot here. I thought I'm talking to an actual person. Now the person's like, well, you know, I can cancel it, but you're not going to get a refund. It's like, can I get a real person? There we go. Now I get a real person. Okay.
And die. A lovely creature.
Okay, so what is the plan now for your DoorDash order?
Have to redo it all.
And pay it twice?
No, I have to like contact a real person. They're working on it. They'll refund it. It'll be fine. Not a big deal. I have to go to a movie and like being picked up in like 2 hours. Me and the girlfriend are gonna go see a movie with my parents. So it should still be fine. Should still have time.
Awfully big head.
So if you didn't play MMOs till WoW, what were you really playing when you were younger?
Well, I was actually, I mean, first of all, I was very young. And second of all, I mean, I played a lot more, like, just everything all over the place, kind of. Like, you know, all kinds of genres, basically, you know, as a kid.
You ever play, like, Age of Empires?
Yeah, I played a lot of Age of Empires. It's definitely one of my most based games, actually.
Yeah, I loved Age of Empires 2. I played Age of Empires 2. I like The Sims. You play The Sims?
Yeah, I've played like Sims 1 or 2 or something a little bit.
Where were you at with consoles? You ever play much consoles? Like, the first console we ever had was Super Nintendo.
No, I actually never had a console. I was always PC, like from the start.
Oh yeah, Command and Conquer, dude. Command and Conquer was a banger. I loved Command and Conquer.
Yeah, I also played a lot of like Command and Conquer, like yeah, Red Alert, and then Tiberian Sun, Red Alert 2.
Oh, Tiberian Sun was great
Generals.
also. I actually played Red Alert 2 days ago. I was laying in bed on my laptop, and I have the remaster downloaded, so I was playing some of that. I tried to find an online match, and there were 0 people playing, so I couldn't find a match. I was the only guy. Apparently.
Lucky. Yeah, we need some Warcraft 4, man. That would be cool. I love, like, my favorite RTS is definitely Warcraft 3. I played the most of that, and also, like, I love the world editor, man. Dude, if they make a Warcraft 4 with world editor, oh my god, dude.
I feel like I did
That'll go
something
hard, I think.
wrong in my previous life, because no matter what, I constantly hear about Warcraft 3. I have Ghazi, like always talking about he's going to go play Warcraft 3, and then Pox pretty much every day is like, I'll bring up a game, and, like, I brought up Maple Story to him the other day, and he's like, oh, you saw that they have it in Warcraft 3, so he'll bring up Warcraft 3 for the millionth time. And then he'll show me like a mini game that they have in Warcraft of the. I'm like, just play the actual fucking game.
Wither away.
Like they, you know, it's like I'm sure they have PoE in Warcraft 3. Like we're not playing that. Like play the real version, dude. Jesus.
I'm sure there is video in Warcraft 3 actually. So. Yeah, but it is definitely something special. I don't know. You never really played it?
No, I mean I play. My girlfriend likes Warcraft 3. I play a little bit, but like I didn't play Warcraft when I was a kid. I was playing Command & Conquer and Age of Empires. Plus, I
Okay.
think that was one of the ones that we had like some games that were banned, some that weren't. They're like decently strict house, not crazy strict, but like somewhat strict. So I think that was probably on the list.
That was fun. Yeah,
Oh.
StarCraft. I'm not such a fan of StarCraft. Like I tried StarCraft 2 when it came out, and I played like 2 games, and was like, oh, nah, fuck this, I'm playing Warcraft 3 again. So that was it.
You wanna hear about another MMO? I got one more for you. Only this one I don't have as high as praises for. Okay, well I mean it was interesting, but I'm gonna leave it at that. So, have you ever heard of a game called Project Entropia?
None
Nope.
can oppose
Okay.
me.
So Project Entropia was a project, first of all. But the reason is because they were exploring a concept. What if we made the game where everything in the game is tied to real life currency? Which sounds like, I mean, like, hold on here. So basically you would set up your debit card to connect to the game. So like your actual in-game debit card is your fucking debit card, okay? At a 1 to 10 ratio, or was it when?
When was that? Just asking.
Well, I mean it's still out. It's called Entropia now, but like it was called Project Entropia. This was back in, I want to say like 2005 or something. Okay, maybe it was.
Man, they were
it-
fucking like pioneers, so holy.
Oh no, they were like, dude, they were ahead of the curve. They were ahead. Hold on, like we're just getting started. Okay, like I mean, it becomes more of a video game. So. It not only that, but they were also exploring the concept. What if we brought jackpots like a fucking casino to the game? I basically think the whole game was about trying to get around gambling regulation, but it is what it is. So you would play Project Entropia, and you would have to buy everything with real life money. So you would have a gun, and they would have durability, and you would have to repair it with actual like in-game money. You could have bullets, and then of course you have to buy it with in-game money, which just happens to be real life money. So you would have all this shit, and you don't buy it. The funny thing is, you don't actually buy the shit from the game. Like you would think that the company is selling the stuff like it's a mobile game. It's not. You have to like buy the items from like players and stuff. So it's like a real life economy, but it's not necessarily like let me just pay to win by like buying the shit from the game. You have to like buy shit with money that could become real money. Now you never have to actually. Is this the same thing as Entropia Universe? Same game. So you didn't actually have to like sign up your debit card But if you ever wanted to get your money out, you would have to. So there was not really any way, because that effectively the game would just have to pay you for playing it. There wasn't really ways to make money in the game, because they kind of couldn't do that, right? Like, or else you would just sign up and play the game, and eventually you'd be like fucking rich, right?
Yeah, so, yeah, you would just earn from the company, basically, right?
Exactly. So they were kind of trying to do something, but also like it didn't, like they couldn't do that, right? So the only real way to make actual money in the game was called sweating, in which you would have basically the equivalent of a humpback camel, and you would literally grab the sweat off his back, and you would sell it at a rate of, like, I'm talking like a penny an hour. Like, it was fucking nothing, dude. And so you would do that enough to, like, be able to eventually afford a gun and some ammo. But the game had this interesting system in which when you killed a mob, it would just drop, like, kind of random loot, but there was always a chance that it could drop, like, actually fucking insane loot. So every now and then in chat you would see, you know, wudijo just hit, like, just killed this mob worth, you know, 1,230 peck or whatever the fuck it was called. And you're like, oh shit, he just hit like $1,000 jackpot, like, in the game. So you could literally be shooting a piece of shit gun against a piece of shit mob and then suddenly pull $1,000 out of nowhere. So what people would do is you would juice your character to, like, be able to kill the bigger mobs in a chance of hitting a giga jackpot. I mean, people would hit like fucking crazy jackpots all the time. And then you could also do mining and stuff in the game, and you could have player-owned shops and, like, make stuff. So you could buy, like, if someone made real-life clothes or, like, in-game clothes, you could buy it with the equivalent of, like, 600 real-life dollars. So, like, jackets in the game cost more than buying a real fucking jacket, because everything was so expensive to actually make. It was hard to acquire that, like, even having clothes on your back was sort of a status symbol in the game. It was actually fucking hilarious. And you could actually buy from the company themselves. You could buy plots of land, and you could sell deeds to mine on the plots of land, basically.
Oh my fucking God, man.
So this guy named John Never Die Jacobs, the biggest cringe lord you will ever see in the history of gaming. In fact, let me pull up a YouTube video so you can understand the type of cringe lord I'm talking. Bought this asteroid for $100,000. Like, okay, you have to actually, he threw like a party in real life. This shit was the cringiest shit you will ever see. He dyed his hair. Okay, where is it? Okay, John Never Died Jacobs. This guy was something else. Okay, I don't know if this is the video. I'm just gonna send this to you. This might be the video. See if I can find the other one.
No, I'm watching.
Okay, so this guy.
This is Never Die.
There he is. This is John Never Died Jacobs, the first, like, Project Entropia 100,000-aire that bought an asteroid that he wanted to turn into a nightclub. And he did. And in order to go to the nightclub, you would have to pay him. So he was kind of an entrepreneur. I think he actually ended up in the profit. And he would sell deeds to be able to mine on this asteroid. So you'd have to buy a ticket to him. Like, he purchased basically, you know, like a theme park, a virtual theme park that players would have to go and buy the ability to actually play it. And this dude was... I mean, this dude was like crack in person. He is fucking hilarious, okay? And I think he was a giant personality. But the club was actually kind of successful. So they ended up going down this route, and I think Entropia Universe went this way, where they would go to companies and they would sell entire planets. So the concept would be you as a company buy a planet, and your planet will be like Coca-Cola the planet, basically. And then players can go there, and it's a giant advertisement for your company, but also... they'll try to farm or mine and all of this shit on your planet. It was basically the equivalent of selling a casino in a game, but around any of the casino regulations, because people would try to be hitting jackpots in the game that the company just happens to transit out back to your US debit card at a 10-to-1 ratio. So this was a hell of a fucking game, dude. Like, this one was this one was some shit, dude. Let's see if I can actually find a video of this.
How is any of this real? This is crazy.
No, this game was insane. This is see, there are people like out here just killing mobs trying to hit $10,000 jackpots, bro. But every time you I had this gun. Every time I shot it cost me $11. Like, it was just yeah, so you're basically pulling the slot. And the funny part is you could miss. So, like, you would be shooting kill your mom, and you'll be like, oh, god damn it. There goes $10. Right? But then it gets worse because you would actually have to level your skills to be able to use the shit in a way that you would actually have any accuracy at all. So people would have to level. They would have to level their shit, and you would have the equivalent of like the poppers in the game that would level their shit by shooting the cheapo guns to try to make their skills high enough that they could then use a chip they put in their brain, and they extract the skills like it's EVE Online and sell it to the chads in the game so that they don't have to actually play the game long enough to be able to use the good equipment so they could go out there and pull the slot machine against the actual Giga bosses. And you see this guy laying down here that has like this little green turd wrapped around his waist? That means he has like a $2,000 of real US dollar jacket on. So then when he's not wearing the armor, he's probably got a fedora and some sunglasses like it's Second Life. And that shit costs more than a real life trench coat. You could go buy a Burberry trench coat for the amount that this little green piece on him costs. So it was a huge status symbol to have the armor and then have the wrapping trench coat basically peeking through the armor because it's clipping through the armor. A huge status symbol. If you didn't have like that guy to the left there is just in normal armor, and by the way, that armor itself is expensive. He doesn't have the cool trench coat, means he's fucking nobody. Okay, but this guy next to him has the blue trench coat, so that's a real player right there. That's a chat. Everyone else is just some broke ass, basically. This shit was hilarious.
And you played that?
Oh, I played the fuck out of this game. I was out there sweating the camos with the best of them, trying to save up to be able to have a chance to pull the jackpot. Because you have to, I was like, I don't know, 15.
You're buying like 1 bullet per hour.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you would have the tiny mobs, then maybe they paid out like a $12 jackpot if you got lucky. Otherwise, it's like 20 cents a kill or something. So, I mean, you would save up by basically, you know, sweating off this fucking camo to get enough of his jizz to sell to some guy that's actually going to use it to craft something. So that the way I could actually get a bullet to hopefully kill another camel so that he drops me $10 so I could save up for another bullet. And this armor right here is like $1,000. This guy's actually got some real gear. Yeah, this was a hell of a game.
Holy fuck. That is wild, but a great story for sure. John Never Die, man.
John Never Die Jacobs.
Gotta remember that name.
If you ever get bored, just look up some videos of John Never Die Jacobs. That guy was the biggest cringe lord. You think IRL Twitch streamers are bad? No, bro. This guy was miles ahead of all of them. He was selling virtual lap dances before anybody in the industry.
Wild.
See, that's the shit the WoW killed, though. It killed these dog shit MMOs.
Yeah, is that for the good or for the worse?
Well, I mean, you know, WoW was the better than all of them, but you know, I missed the garbage MMOs that had their own horse shit going on. You would log in, and then you would just see this community that basically spent their entire lives trying to get the next tier of sweatshirt. Like, I kind of miss that stuff a little bit.